It was another milestone this week for the Queen, Her Majesty turning 96. There were low-key celebrations with her family, but the world is preparing to mark the longest reigning British monarch's Platinum Jubilee and a life dedicated to service.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
At just 21 and with those words, then Princess Elizabeth committed herself to the job ahead. It's been 75 years since that speech in South Africa, and as she celebrated her 96th birthday this week, it was clear to all Queen Elizabeth has kept her word. Called to a life of duty, it's hard to name another who has dedicated themselves to service like Her Majesty the Queen, who this year became the first British monarch to celebrate 70 years on the throne, a Platinum Jubilee.
Well, it's very momentous because she's a record breaker.
As Dr. Cindy McCreery, a royal historian from the University of Sydney, explains, while the Queen was born in April, celebrations take place in June, partly to ensure better weather for UK-based events.
There's going to be a big BBC party at the palace with entertainers from all around the world, and they're having a big Jubilee lunch, which is essentially encouraging local streets, local neighbours to get together and have a big outdoor celebration all together.
In the dark hours of World War II, with the Queen...
A child of the war years, Elizabeth showed leadership even before accepting the burden of the crown. At 14, she spoke via radio to shell-shocked British children, many of whom had been relocated to safer parts of the Empire during the darkest days of the Nazi Blitz on London.
We are trying to do all we can to help our gallant sailors, soldiers and airmen. And we are trying too to bear our own share of the danger and sadness of war. We know, every one of us, that in the end all will be well.
When the war was won, a dashing naval officer with his own royal background would return to London. Philip Mountbatten would be first photographed with Princess Elizabeth in 1946, and the couple would marry the next year. A loving bond that would hold strong for 70 years. Elizabeth and Philip, facing challenges and tragedies, both personal and national, but always together.
If we all go forward together with an unwavering faith, a high courage and a quiet heart, we shall be able to make of this ancient Commonwealth, which we all love so dearly, an even grander thing.
In Cape Town, while her father, George VI, still reigned as king, Elizabeth would embrace her future with two hands and with two words.
I serve.
Months later, in 1952, her time would come. With the passing of her father, she was crowned Queen Elizabeth II and coronated at Westminster Abbey in June 1953. Royal biographer Phil Dampier.
It was an absolutely amazing event. It was one of those things that in those days not many people had televisions, and people were buying televisions just so that they could see the coronation.
But for all the ceremony, the Queen hasn't been spared a life of personal heartache at times. In 1992, Princess Anne would divorce, Charles and Diana would separate, and her beloved Windsor Castle would be damaged by fire.
1992 is not a year on which I shall look back with undiluted pleasure. In the words of one of my more sympathetic correspondents, it has turned out to be an annus horribilis.
And 5 years after that, in perhaps the most dramatic display of her leadership, the Queen would put protocol and personal issues aside to guide her grieving nation through the loss of Princess Diana.
So what I say to you now, as your Queen and as a grandmother, I say from my heart. She was an exceptional and gifted human being. In good times and bad, she never lost her capacity to smile and laugh, nor to inspire others with her warmth and kindness. I share in your determination to cherish her memory.
Throughout her reign, Her Majesty has been served by 14 different Prime Ministers and worked with 14 different US presidents. Queen Elizabeth has now surpassed the second oldest monarch, Queen Victoria, who passed away aged 81. And Elizabeth has shown a clear intention to continue on.
And I think for the Queen, duty is everything, and I don't think that, barring a health emergency, she would seek to step aside. I think she will go on as long as she can.
I think the Queen will never abdicate. She's made it fairly clear on several occasions that she regards it as a job for life.
And while the world has undergone many changes in 96 years, our gracious Queen keeps calm and carries on, devoted and defined by that two-word commitment
I serve.
that she made to us all those years ago.